Morning, everybody, and welcome to Smart with Your Money Live. I am Chase Peckham. I'm the Director of Community Outreach at the San Diego Financial Literacy Center, the education arm of Debt Wave Credit Counseling. And as always, for our Smart with Your Money Lives, I am joined by my compatriot and co-host, Felipe Arevalo. And Felipe, today we're talking about something that you and I have very much have gone through this entire process.
Yeah, and there's so much that goes along with it, but talking to other people who have gone through the process, or even just talking to you about our processes, it's so different. Like so many things, personal finances, there are so many ways you can go this way, that way. And there's so many things you could do to save, both the things that we did and then things that we see and like, oh, wow, I could have done that, but I didn't. So it's one of those where you have the learning process, but you hope to only get one try at it and not have to use some of that knowledge again. But
you're hoping to get one try at it.
And it's wedding season, right?
It is wedding season. Yeah.
Hopefully if you're watching this and your wedding is coming up shortly, you've already figured most of this out. But if not,
and congratulations, by the way.
Congratulations, yes. If not, maybe some last minute tips, or maybe you're just really on top of it and your wedding day is still a bit down the road. So we'll get started here. First things first, though, that communication. You and your significant other, you and your spouse to be need to communicate best you can. You need to get on the same page when it comes to everything wedding related. Obviously, we hope that you've already communicated well on other parts of personal finances and other parts of your relationship, but communication is going to be key here, just so that you're on the same page going forward with the
absolutely wedding. And we all know that the one person's going to be making more decisions than the other one, but just communicate. I mean, just at least together have a plan on the basics of what you want. For most of us, I know in my wedding, it was funny. It was reverse. I actually wanted more stuff than my wife did.
Yeah, that was not the case on my wedding. I was very much like, if that works for you, let's do it.
There was some of that too.
But yeah, for the most part, I even told her, I was like, this is the one time you're going to get to tell me and my brother and my friends what to wear. So choose wisely. You pick the suit, you pick everything, and just tell us what to wear. It probably won't ever happen again. So then make a budget. I know we say it often. It might be one of our go-tos, but it is important. Make a wedding budget. How much money do you have available to spend? Are you
right? And that is not just your money. If your family is giving you money, if you're getting money from different places, set the budget anyway, because it's just, there's no, if going over is not an option, then it could be very ugly.
Yeah, this is income, expenses, specific budget wedding. Where's the money coming from? How much money is available? And then what line items? And this is very much an exercise where your first budget may need some adjusting, because I forgot, I do need XYZ. I do need this. Oh, what do you mean I have to buy that? And you may have to adjust, but if you have a set dollar amount and you don't go past it, you just know you need to adjust elsewhere and fill up as many of the line items. Maybe you even rank them, which one's more important. If I have to drop something, if I have to go budget or discount on this item or that item, I can, here's where I'm going to cut back. But get that budget going early. And then no budget is any good if you throw it to the wind. You have to stay within your budget. If you set a budget and then say, that was nice, that was fun, and let's just go shopping, it doesn't work that way. You need to stick to it the best you can and balance things out. And maybe if you want to spend a little more than you thought on one item, you reduce your expenses on a different item. So stay within that budget. Whatever your budget is, you set. And this is going to be like anything else. It's very easy to overspend. It's very easy to just say, oh, okay, we'll take that. We'll take this. Yeah, add on, sure, bring it on. So stay within your original budget. That's what you and your fiance were comfortable with when you started the process. That's what you should still be comfortable as you move through the process. And to help you do all of that, get organized. Whatever method of organization works for you and your fiance, find one. This is a good exercise. You got to stay organized. It's way too easy to forget things, to sit there at the end and say, you paid and reserved for the DJ, right? And it's like, no, I thought that's what you were doing.
Well, that's part of the communicating in the budgetary process. Staying organized is figuring out what all those things that you are that want, what's important to you.
Yeah.
So, but staying organized is, it can happen. You can all of a sudden go, especially if they're watching one of those wedding shows or something like that, and they go, oh, I really want that. Well, that could kind of throw things to the wind a little bit, and that'd be a little scary.
Whose task is it to pay for this, pay for that?
Right.
It's definitely, organization goes along with the communication, goes along with staying on your budget, but staying organized, whatever method that is for you and your spouse, whatever that looks like, or spouse to be, I guess, make sure that you stick to it. All right, so on to the fun stuff. This should be a little fun. And now, might it be stressful? Yes. Might it be more stressful for one person than the other? Potentially. So if you're the one who's not stressing about it as much, maybe you pick up the slack and get in there and get your hands dirty and build the playlist or whatever it is that you need to do to help out and relieve stress from your fiance. But
it's your day.
It's your day. Try and have some fun with it. Try and have some fun. This might be a long event planning process. Have some fun with it. Enjoy the fun little quirks that go along with it. Cake tasting was awesome. Little fun things. You could make it fun as much as possible, always keeping your money in mind, your budget in mind. Don't go having too much fun and then run out of money before you get to the actual day of the wedding.
Right.
But here are some fun tips, things you can actually do to protect your budget, stay within that budget, and not get yourself into financial problems. Because honestly, we've seen, I see it on Twitter all the time, like wedding loans. You don't want to start your relationship by having to take out a wedding loan or something like that, credit card debt or whatever the case may be. You're better off where you can, cutting back and making it so you can still have an awesome wedding and not spend a fortune on it.
Yes.
You may have to get creative, but it's okay. If I can get creative, anyone can get creative.
It's a big day, but it's one day.
Right.
One day.
You don't want to put yourself behind the eight ball
for years for one day.
Exactly. So let's get started. What are some fun things you could do? Choose your date wisely. Maybe in April, or but the understanding of the date. Some of you may notice the GIF. She totally didn't understand what the ideal date question was, but the ideal date might be off season. It might be a Thursday. It might not be Saturday night.
It's prime time.
There's just, some people say Thursday, maybe you call it Friday Eve and you kick off the party early. Picking the right day can save you thousands right off the bat. And not just on the location, you might be able to get the caterer for less expensive. You might be able to have more options when it comes to DJs or flower people or every single thing, because everyone's less busy on a Thursday.
Right.
If they do weddings,
venues are going to be more available, so they're going to be less expensive.
Exactly.
So if you're stuck on a venue that you want with a specific view, then you're going to have to be flexible.
Right. My brother got married on a Friday, and if they wanted to wait for a Saturday, they were going to pay more for the same venue, pay more and have to wait like another year because Saturdays are just that more expensive. And you forget it. Let's do it on a Friday. People will figure it out. People will get there. You might lose some attendees, but that might just keep your cost down. We'll get to that one too. But people will get to your wedding, especially if most of your wedding invites are local. So choose your date wisely, even just off season. Maybe you still do it on a Saturday, but you do it in a time of year that's not necessarily wedding season. Don't procrastinate. Don't put it off. You picked your date. You put that part in. Get going. Get to tasting things. Get to reserving and putting down deposits, and you have more options the further out you are. If you wait till the last minute, those preferred vendors that you were going to use for any one of the categories might not be available.
Right.
Or you might have to rush things, rush shipping for your dress. Last minute alterations may cost more. Lots of different things can go wrong. You can add a lot of stress to your life. So you pick a date, don't procrastinate, get out there, get on, hit the pavement running and start planning things out.
It's like anything else. You think that you have all the time in the world, and next thing you know, there it is.
Right.
You've got to be on top of it. Start right away. And of course, with a lot of people, they're so excited they want to start early. A lot of it is the planning of it is the fun, and then the stressful part. But a lot of us just kind of secretly love that stressful part of it. Whether we admit it or not, we might complain about it. But all of it, it's about all of it.
Right. So and you don't know, maybe your significant other is all about it, and maybe you're not all about that last minute stress, or vice versa. They're not about the last minute stress, and then it's like, oh, this is where I shine. So it really comes down to having that communication again. But procrastinating can cost you money, and may limit your options. So it gives you less options to shop around. If your favorite bakery is taken up, your caterer is busy, the DJ you wanted is no longer available. So just find your date and get going. Build a website. You don't have to know HTML. You don't have to remember how you did it back on your MySpace days. You don't have to get technical to build your website. There are websites that help you build websites. Now, obviously, if you have some kind of website building skills, you can go by your URL, download, do all kinds of different things that you might be able to do. That's not me. Anything more than a simple website is just not going to happen. It's not conducive to my time. It's not going to come out well. But there's websites out there that'll help you create a wedding website for free. Some that I found from my research, there's withjoy.com, which is free. Minted.com, which is free, has a $15 upgrade option, or Zola.com, which is also free, but then for $15 or more dollars, you can get a custom URL, which is kind of cool. But all of it, you can take advantage of it for free. This can help you on wedding invitations. You don't have to send a whole bunch of wedding invitations. You can have people RSVP online. You can update information as you go. Rehearsal dinner information, hotel block information, links to your gift registry, and people can RSVP right then and there. You don't have to send out envelopes with pre-addressed stamps to come back. You don't even have to buy the RSVP cards. You could just say RSVP right here at this QR code or this link, and there you go. Help you kind of modernize the whole wedding planning process.
Definitely makes it easier. I wish I would have had those or had that.
It would have just simplified things. DIY as much as possible. Do your own thing. Maybe you don't build your own cake. That could end poorly very quickly. But unless you happen to be a baker. But decorations, centerpieces, the floral arrangements at your reception. There's so many things that you could do yourself, as much as possible. Whatever it is that you can take on, that's money saved. You put in a little elbow grease and you save yourself some money wherever possible. And if your goal is to have the most budget friendly wedding, do it yourself. might be the way to go as much as possible. But honestly, it's you and your spouse. You got a lot of other stuff going on top of just everyday life. How much can you really get done yourself? This is where it's important to go ahead and assemble your team. Who's going to help you out? Who's going to be the person who's going to take on a responsibility and allow you to delegate, and say, you know what, I got this. I got you. I'm going to do the centerpieces. For our wedding, my wife's aunt reached out and said, hey, I'm willing to help. And we said, all right, cool. What do you need? And she said, I need a team of 5 people 2 days before so we could set up centerpieces. I have cousins. I deal with them for a reason. I'm going to send you 5 of them. You tell them what to do. And there you go. Centerpieces got done. And it was just so much easier, so much cheaper. But you might have someone, pick up things the day of the wedding. Maybe you don't have them pick up the entire catering order and drive it up a hill or anything like that. But, maybe you have them pick up something easy, pick up the things from, whatever it is, pick up the flowers from the flower place,
Right.
drop off this, drop off that, help with, putting out chairs or whatever it is.
Yeah. Ordering.
Count on who can help you out. The more you can give other people to do, the more it saves you money and the more it saves you stress.
Right.
So
The problem with that is if you have people that are type A personalities and can't delegate because they have to be involved in every single thing, that makes it harder. But, maybe you're the kind of person where you need to do it all. Just don't complain.
Right. Yeah. Then it becomes a choice. Like, no, I need it to be set this way. The arrangements have to be in this angle or whatever the case may be. But you know what? If no one else knows that they were supposed to be in that angle, or the red flowers are supposed to be on the right and the pink flowers are supposed to be on the left or whatever,
Right.
no one knows.
Right.
So don't stress about it. The day you come in and things are in the wrong spot, the photo booth was supposed to be in that corner and the bar in this corner. No one knows that that's the way it was supposed to be. Just run with it, have some fun, and carry on. Potentially a big money saver, depending on your crowd, skip the open bar or get creative. Find a venue that allows you to bring your own alcohol. You don't want to, depending on your crowd, you don't want to skip the alcohol altogether, because that might be a wedding that people remember
Yes.
for the wrong reasons. But
again, this goes down to the budget. Where are we putting the finances in certain places? But yeah, open bar can get pricey real fast.
But an option could be give a beer option or 2 and an option of wine or 2, and now just have at it. Have as much beer as you want.
Right.
But these are your 2 options. These are your 2 wine options. And this open bar, a full open bar, you got to pay bartenders, depending on where you're at, bartenders, licenses, they got to bring all this stuff.
You're paying retail, you're paying those prices. We're talking
bar prices.
7, 8.
Just think of the tab you can build up at a bar if you showed up with a bunch of your friends and said, open the tab.
Right.
It can get expensive. So skip the open bar, get creative with, maybe you have like a signature cocktails. I've been to weddings where they have like, you can have one option A or option B, so that you can concentrate your costs on just those 2 types. You don't have like a full-on range, but you can have a mojito or a margarita.
Right. Or you have it open for an hour, or you can set a limit on what they're going to spend, and they'll let you know, okay, that limit's up. Now it's going to serve your or on your own.
Right. Get creative though, because this can get really expensive really fast.
Right. Well, and depending on the venue, maybe, if it's at a place that there is no bar, you create your own, you can Costco it, and you just hire your own bartender. In fact, I had people at my wedding that just decided they wanted to bartend.
Yeah. And it works. Let your friends, this is where assembling your team, you throw in a bartender or 2 into your team, and now you got a party. And you can save yourself some money that way. Do you really need to invite Phil? Limit your, that would be me. Do you really need to invite everyone on your invite list? Can you pare it down? Can you, decrease the number of attendees? If you ask my wife, she will tell you her family, her side, severely outnumbered at our wedding compared to my side of the family. I just have more people, maybe a 3-to-1 ratio, which is which is a lot. So do you really need to invite everyone? If you limit your number of guests, you limit your expenses on a lot of different things. So just kind of,
you can figure about 30% attrition. If you invite 100 people, you figure that most 70 will RSVP that they're coming. And my wife and I did it that way. And we only had one family say no. And we had people come, we were shocked. We're like, oops.
Yeah, we had a really high attendance rate at ours, thankfully, especially more on my side. But some of them got stuck in traffic on the way from LA, so they were late, but they showed up eventually. Do you really need to invite everyone? Make the list and then try and save yourself some money that way. And remember the last wedding you went to? Where was the cake from? No one cares. You go to the wedding, there's some people drinking who don't want anything to do with the cake. The kids will get the cake if there's kids and eat anything with sugar in it. They don't care where it's from. Where is the cake from? Maybe you get a smaller, nice cake from a bakery. That's what we did. We got a nice little smaller cake from a bakery here in North Park on Adams Avenue. I don't remember what it was called. It was delicious. It was great. It was fancy. It was nice. And then a bunch of Costco sheet cakes in the back. So when someone said, "Oh, that was great cake. Where was it from?" I don't know. The bakery in North Park or Costco La Mesa. I couldn't tell you. Depends on what slice you got. But
Just go with the
save you a
bakery.
lot of money. You just said the bakery. Yeah. Oh, there's this great bakery over here. Just sheet cakes. Costco. I think Sam's has them. Your local grocery store, or maybe even the same baker if you wanted to just get it all from one place. But just buy a bunch of white sheet cakes and there you go. Serve it up. No one will know. You take the pictures, do the fun things with the nice cake. They bring it back. Everyone comes. They bring out a bunch of slices. No one knows where it came from. It's like that was a magical cake. It just kept giving slices. I don't know what to tell you. So you can save some money that way. Or pick less expensive flowers. What's in season when you get married? What's local to you? Maybe you have a certain flower that's local in your area that you might be able to get to. Maybe you can do without the real flowers on certain things, and again, Chase mentioned it. It depends. This might be more important to one person than the other.
Right.
Like a lot of these things. My wife couldn't care what was at the bar. I did. I couldn't care what the flowers were. She did.
Right.
So having that conversation and knowing that there's two people planning this out, but trying to find, maybe you get a really nice bouquet for the bride and then a little less nicer one for the bridesmaids, and then the decorations are artificial. Or when I was doing my research for this, I saw that some people were saying maybe you have just one spot of your reception or your wedding where it's like, wow, flowers. And then the rest of it just kind of tapers off and isn't so nice. Maybe you have a little flower corner for people to take selfies, or the backdrop is really nice flower thing. And then everywhere else, you just kind of discount it out.
That's what ours. Yep.
Look for flower wholesale places in your area. Honestly, most of our flowers, aside from the bouquet, were from a wholesale flower person. And again, my wife's aunt made the centerpieces. Here's a 5-gallon bucket of flowers. Have at it. Just so much less expensive. If you can find options, get creative.
As your aunt can probably attest, it was a lot of work putting those centerpieces together. So that's why they can be extraordinarily expensive.
Right. Yeah. But you don't, if you can get someone to help you out,
absolutely,
you take that cost and you say, thank you, cousins. Thank you, aunt. Yep. And then
they feel like they're a part of it.
Exactly.
They did their thing. They were a part of your big day.
Exactly. Just be ready though. If you have people who have not gotten married, be ready to return the favor, because it is important later on when they get married, if you might have to create some centerpieces to kind of return the favor, or you might have to drive something around. Just kind of keep that in the back of your mind. Borrow a backyard. Do you know someone with a really nice backyard, front yard, a park where you see people getting married at all the time?
Right.
Save some money that way.
Right.
Yep.
A lot of times if you get married at a church and like, cause you want to have that religious wedding or ceremony, that's typically, most churches are free or a very small charge. But then the reception is that's where the bang is, man. That's where the money is. If you can find some place that's cheap, that's or nothing. And all you have to do is rent tables and chairs and those kinds of things. That can save a ton of money.
Right. And again, you decorate it, you make it you, and people still have a great time, weather permitting, depending on what part of the country you live in. You do run the chance of weather playing a role in your big day if you do it outdoors. So keep that in the back.
Doing it on a Thursday in October.
Thursday in October
February.
in the Midwest, or the Northeast, you could get a heat wave. It could be 100 degrees, or it could be raining. So you keep that in mind. You do it in the South, in the outdoors, in the summer. Be ready for some bugs. Those thunderstorms come through at a moment's notice. So know your area, know where your sweet spot is. But borrow a backyard if you can, or a park. Get creative. Go online, find what other people have done that's really cool. A very popular thing, these donut walls. You can do them for cheap. You just create the board yourself, or buy one on Pinterest or something, and then go to your local donut shop and just buy donuts.
Yeah.
I don't know. You can.
These were all the rage for a while.
Order them ahead of time. I've been to weddings with donut walls. It's really cool. If you invite me to one, I like the pink sprinkle donuts. That's my go-to. But the kids love them if you have kids around, and it just kind of, even if people at first like, what's that over there? It's colorful, it's attention grabbing, and people are like, oh, cool, they had a donut wall. And you can keep the donut wall for I don't know if you would want to keep it, but I did help a buddy move a month ago, and him and his wife still had their donut wall. I forgot to ask them, like, what are you going to do with this? But whatever, get creative and build yourself a donut wall. And remember, most importantly, it's about you and your spouse, or your spouse and you. Make it fun, make it exciting, stick to your budget. Don't put yourself in a financial hardship to please anyone else, to try and stretch your finances for any other reason. Maybe you don't need a plan A, B, and C like Jim and Pam, but you have, it's about you. Have fun with it, enjoy it. The day of, make sure you enjoy it. If you can afford it, one thing that I really was like, okay, that was worth the money, was like a day of coordinator. We didn't have like a full-on wedding coordinator, or someone who's really good at event planning to just kind of take the reins that day. So you don't have to plan anything.
Definitely.
So you can just sit back, enjoy it, have fun. But remember, it's about you and your spouse, and it's your special day. So
your
have
day
fun with it.
100%.
Any questions? I'll do my best to answer wedding questions. But we have a podcast. We have a couple questions here. Podcast episode that we did right at the beginning of COVID. It was very interesting to listen to it and just kind of hear us talk about, like, wait, you're not at the office? Oh no, we're not at the office anymore. How life has changed and the world has changed since then. Weddings and COVID. We're looking to maybe have the budget savvy bride on our podcast again for part 2. But also money before marriage. Make sure you talk money with your significant other, hopefully before you even get engaged. Hopefully as you start to even think about marriage, you've already had the money conversation. We have a great blog on DebtWave's website, how to talk money with your partner, which is a difficult conversation.
Felipe, we got a question. Is it a bad idea to charge wedding expenses on my credit card?
So depends.
Yes.
Because if you have the money put away, It's a phenomenal idea because it's a really big expense. You can get a lot of points and then pay it off and not pay interest. And maybe you pay for part of your honeymoon with it,
Travel.
with
Yeah.
flyer miles or cashback checks or things like that. Plus it's easier to pay with a credit card if you're buying things online or paying through PayPal or whatever to the different vendors.
That gets back to the budget. If you're using those credit cards to finance your wedding,
You
that's
don't want to stretch your budget with the
problem.
use of credit cards.
Remember, it's one day, and I hate to say that because it's usually one of the biggest days of our lives and the happiest day for most of us. But it is one day, and when it's over, you have the rest of your lives to live together, but you also have the rest of your lives to pay off the debt of your wedding day,
Right.
which
Exactly.
you don't want to do. You don't want to look back and hate your wedding day because you're still paying for it
Right.
5 years later.
You want to get to the honeymoon and say, all right, that's paid for, that was done, that was fun,
Right.
but we're not still dealing with it. We had the fun, we have the memories. I can't wait to get the pictures, but we're not going to pay for it anymore. So great idea if you have the money and you could pay it off, because again, you could pay for part of your, whatever it is, next expense you got coming up, your honeymoon or whatever the case may be. We got another question. Is it a bad idea to charge wedding guests to attend your wedding to cover the cost of everything?
Oh boy.
I think we've done a podcast on this.
Yeah, and I know that there are people that do this. I would have a very hard time asking people to do it. I guess if it's creative and you can say in lieu of a registry, and you say we would love cash, then that's one way to do it. But yeah, that could be difficult.
I personally, I don't see how I would have been able to do that. Some people do it, and it also depends on your crowd,
Right?
and your
Maybe the
circle
younger
of
generation is going to be into it, right?
Maybe.
They just
Maybe
that's
we're
going to
just
become
old.
yeah. We are.
And a little too old school for this, but
Traditions change.
yeah. And it's always interesting. I haven't been asked to pay for being a guest at the wedding,
You know,
but it's very interesting that maybe if your crowd's going to be all about it, in a way, if you do a destination wedding, you are asking people to spend
yes.
money on your wedding because they have to travel to that destination, but even if you do it in your local area, if people are traveling from other parts of the country to come to your wedding, there's already been an expense. So you continue
and a lot of
learning
times a very hefty expense.
Yeah. So you can continue learning on our podcast. But speaking of that expense, speaking of having to pay to go to people's weddings, join us in 2 weeks. We're covering wedding saving tips, but this time for the bridal party and wedding guests. Maybe you're already married. Maybe marriage is just not for you, or just not yet. Whatever the case may be, you might be getting invited to weddings with wedding season coming up.
Or you're just at that age where everybody you feel like around you is getting married.
The last 2 years, people had been putting off those wedding celebrations. Some people have. You might have an overload this year. It might look at your calendar like, what? I'm going to another wedding? Where are all these people getting married for? But it can get expensive, especially if you have to start paying for your dinner while you're there, or if you're traveling or those destinations. I know my best friend, when he was planning his wedding, he hit me up and said, hey, you know what? This might be a destination in Hawaii. I was like, oh my, you got to be kidding me. Like, I'm trying to get married too. Don't be having me spend all the money going. Thankfully, it was just down the road, and I could Uber there. But it can get expensive just being a guest over and over and over at weddings, or even being part of the wedding party. So join us for that.
Oh, yeah.
In 2 weeks. As we cover that, and thank you everybody. Any other questions? Perfect. But thank you everybody for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again in 2 weeks.
See you next time.